As a monk main myself, I see on the Reddits and the forums how monk isn't everybody's favorite. Either you love it or hate it, and the popularity of monk is questionable at most times. But in this video, I want to share why monk has spoiled me as a Final Fantasy player and how other classes I tend to struggle when I play them, but also give you things that I would love to see improve in monk because no class is perfect. So let's talk about it real quick. What's up, everybody? It's your Final Fantasy homie Jay, and let's get right down to it. The first thing is the triple D effect of monk, which I love so much. And we're not talking about the triple Ds that you're thinking, because you have to go to we're in the Final Fantasy right now. We're talking about damage, dancing, and dodging, which not the dancing that you'll see in Limsa or the dancing that the dancers bust out in the middle of a fight. We're talking about the constant having to move around an entire boss fight. And just like monk, there's two main things that they do, but it's something that's very important that keeps monk busy. First thing is that all DPS are focused on doing damage. Second thing is that everybody's dodging, because if you die, most people are going to roast you. Not in the comments, they're roasting you in their head, because they're roasting you in the comments. You're probably going to get banned. People don't do that, but they roast you in their head, know you're getting talked about. Third thing that makes monk stand out is the dancing game. It's a mini game within a mini game where it takes an extra step of fighting. It's the complete opposite of what black mage is. Black mage does the most damage by not moving, where the monk does the most damage by constantly moving and hitting your positionals. Please note that, not just moving, hitting your positionals. And the positional game of monk, people really don't like it. And I get why, because it adds this complication that can be annoying if you're new to it or if you're fighting, and it can kind of make things a little weird. But I truly enjoy the positional game of monk because I'm always doing something. I'm always moving. I'm always trying to optimize my damage. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to hit these angles without having any issues, and it's just a really fun experience that I have not found in any other job I've played. And there's other jobs that have positionals, but it doesn't focus on it like monk, where I'm constantly having to focus on where am I standing, where am I moving, how quick am I getting there, am I going to hit it in the right spot, should I risk dying this time, or should I go for the max damage? And positionals really brings a fun element that I think it can feel intimidating, but if you give it a try, it becomes a fun game. I promise it does. Or I can't promise it, because you might truly hate it, and that's okay too. There's a whole bunch of other jobs out there. The second thing that made me fall in love with monk is their global cooldown speed, especially at level 80, where you're slapping buttons every 1.5, every 2 seconds. You're just hitting buttons, where other classes have a slower global cooldown speed. It does get faster for all classes, but it doesn't get as fast as monk, and that's because of monk's passive Grease Lightning, which is pretty much what it does. Is it just makes your global cooldown super fast. So you're constantly pushing buttons. You're hitting all the buttons. I've even got cramp playing monk when I first started, because I couldn't find the buttons in time, but I was slapping them in a way that kind of worked. And then I got my fingers messed up, and my thumb went into my, you know what, it doesn't matter. But but the global cooldown speed that you get from monk just keeps you so busy. And for somebody who has a short attention span like me, who likes to stay active and likes to keep things happening in the game, monk does that for me. It checks off the box. I'm constantly moving, constantly in positions, and then I have so many buttons coming off the cooldown that I'm always doing something at all times on top of off-go cooldowns. So monk, to me, is probably one of the fastest, fun, and rewarding jobs that you can play, that somebody who actually takes the time to understand positionals and takes the time to understand the fight can optimize that in such a great way that other classes may not be able to do because of how they work. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all the personal preference. The third thing, and I know people are going to get on me about this, or they might not, they might completely agree, is there something really bad, really gangster, really hood, really swag about beating something with let me rephrase that. It's something really cool about beating things. It's something really dope about killing stuff with your fist. Rather than, I mean, yeah, you can take the easy way out and chop them with an axe, or you can, cut them with a sword, or you can shoot them in the knee with a bow. But Goku give hands, you know what I'm saying? And we trying to be like that. We just want to give you these hands to the point where you don't want to play anymore. And that's what we do to these PvE people, is we go out here and we beat these mobs. We punch them to death. And we don't need any quick way kills. We beat them down until they submit. And come on, who don't want to do this a month? In real life, who would you rather have a sword, or would you rather use these hands? You know what I'm saying? If the hands, could beat things. I'm gonna stop saying that word with hands, okay? We ain't gonna keep going there. But you get my point, is that it's something really rewarding about just punching stuff to death. I don't know, One Punch Man maybe like punching things to death, even though he only punched things one time. But that we can't do that in here, so it don't work that way. So I imagine that I'm One Punch Man, but like 200% weaker. And like every class, there's the good and the bad. And shout out to Johnny who commented on my changes that I like to see for Endwalker and Monk in my Monk video. I'll have that up here somewhere. We talked about how there are some outdated abilities for Monk that are completely useless at level 80, and that goes for all classes. There's class abilities that just don't make any sense anymore. And two of the things is the stance position, where you have Fist of Earth and Fist of Wind. They just don't work anymore. Fist of Fire, once you unlock Fist of Fire, that's how you playing. Like Fist of Wind, movement speed is negligible at best, and Fist of Earth is, you're never gonna really use it because you're not maintaining anything. You shouldn't be aggroing anything. So I want to see those change, maybe combine into one thing, and they get all the attributes together just into one big thing. And the second thing you get, and which completely blows my mind, is one of the last abilities you get as a monk is six-sided star kick. I think that's what it's called. And all it does is give you a movement speed. It's not on the cooldown. It doesn't do anything special. The damage is literally just a movement speed for you to greed damage. I would love to see that added in the rotation somewhere, like Tornado Kick, where it does something special. Johnny suggested it'd be a good way to add it into Perfect Balance that gives it bonus damage. I think that's a great idea too. But I would like to see some things change in Monk that takes away, that helps balance some of those abilities that you probably are never going to use. Last thing that I want to say about Monk that I feel like a lot of people, this is why a lot of people don't like playing Monk, is the clunkiness of it. Sometimes it can be really clunky, especially if you're fighting bosses that are off stage. When I say off stage, I mean like they're not on the stage, so they don't move around. They're just in the background of the stage, so you only have the front half of the boss to fight. That can really mess with a Monk because a lot of damage comes from hitting them in the rear, and not having that kind of makes the class feel clunky sometimes because you can't really output damage the way you can. Because yeah, you have North Star or North Side, and then you have your Riddle of Earth that allows you to, ignore positionals, but they go on cooldowns at some point. And then you're just in this weird space where you're doing damage that's kind of mediocre, and it kind of ruins the flow of the fight. So I would like to see something implemented that can help them a little bit more. Maybe another ability that allows it to rotate into the other two that always give you something to use. But that is something definitely that I would like to see smoothed out, as some of the clunkiness for Monk. Drop in the comments below if you love Monk and hate Monk, if you're a leveling Monk and you're finding ways to make it work, or you just can't stand a Monk in your party. Drop in the comments below. I'm really curious to see how the Monk vibe is, especially as a Monk main, because I want to be loved, and also us Monk brothers needed to unite. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I think Monk is a fun class that people are kind of sleeping on because of how the positionals work. But I think once you get into the positionals, like, it really makes a fun and creative game, because it's a game within a game, and there's nothing more fun than that. Feel free to stop by my Twitch channel. Link is in below. I stream Final Fantasy every week. It's a fun time. We have a good group of people in there who are laughing and watching me die many times. And if you like the video, like, and if you want to support me, hit the subscribe button. No worries either way. I hope this information helps you out. And as always, happy questing.